Hello, everybody. This is the King Legend Show, and I'm your host, King Legend. How's everybody doing on today? On this beautiful day? This is a non-profit organization, and we're here to save souls. What we gonna talk about on today? On this beautiful, beautiful day that the Lord has blessed us with. Well, it's a lot to talk about on today. It's a lot, you know, and we living in a time now that you have to get all of the information that you can in order to survive. And my topic on today is not, well, don't live your life in reverse. Now, King Legend, what you mean by that? Tell me what you mean by that, King Legend. Well, it's simple. We live in this thing we call a matrix. You know, a matrix ain't nothing but a box. You know, if you studied geometry in high school, you know, geometry ain't nothing but mathematics based on shapes. You know, the cubic square, you know, the triangle, the circle, and so forth. And where we are living in this time, at this point in time, we are living in the cubic square, which is the matrix. And we're also living in the circle. And we also living in the triangle. All right. Now, King Legend, what you mean by that? Because you know you got to bag it up now. You got to bag up all this talk that you're talking about now. What I mean by that is, okay, we're going to talk about the cubic square. Because everything based on mathematics. And if you didn't study mathematics, then you in some trouble. You just basically you in trouble. Because that's the only way you're going to survive through mathematics. Because everything is based on numbers and shapes. All right, the cubic square is basically this little box that you live in. All right. And I think I kind of discussed that in a couple of my episodes, but I didn't go deep into the subject, you know. I didn't. But now we're going to get off into that because when you get outside of this box, then it carries you into another dimension. Okay. And dimensions, we're going to talk about dimensions too. Dimensions is basically what's going on in your state of mind. The dimensions that you in. You have the third dimension, the fourth dimension, the fifth dimension, and it goes on and on and on. It's basically like you playing a video game. All right. When you play this video game, you you pass the first level, and then you go on to the second level, and then you go to the third level of the game, and then you go so on and so forth as you pass the levels of that game. All right. That's basically what we are living in in today's society. We're living in dimensions. We're living in shapes. And when you're living in the cubic square, that basically where you living by these rules and these regulations. That's when you're living in the cubic square. Now, if you get outside of the cubic square, then there's a problem. Because based on your birth certificate and based on your marriage certificate and your death certificate, that's basically saying that the United States government own your ass. I'm going to just be blunt about it on the day. That's basically what is going on. You get married at the courthouse. The courthouse ain't nothing but a corporation. They live off the maritime law. Let's see, oh, you don't push the button. You done went into something that people don't even know nothing about. Maritime law. Okay. Now, maritime law is basically the law of the water. That's how they bought slaves here to the United States, based on maritime law, because the slaves was a product. And when the captain of that ship, when he comes to the coast, on the coast you had the port, all right? When that captain let down that anchor of that ship, he cannot exit off that ship unless he have a certificate of manifest. Oh, King Legend, where you getting all this knowledge from? See, knowledge is power. Don't let nobody tell you otherwise. The thing that you know, sometimes it can save you. Don't let nobody, deceive you by the knowledge that you have. You believe in, you're supposed to believe whatever you set out to believe. That can be anything. You can believe that the sky is blue. The sky is blue based on your belief. You have to have a belief system. But back to the subject at hand. Before that captain of that ship, before he exit the ship onto the port, he have to present a certificate of manifest. Now, there's a key thing to this. Slaves back in that time were products. And you know what a product is. A product is merchandise, stuff that you consume, stuff that you buy, etc. So when the captain exit that ship onto the port, he have to present the certificate of manifest. So that what brought the slaves here to the United States. The slaves were brought here based on maritime law because the slaves were a product. They were a product. They wasn't human beings. Basically how this thing works. You see what I'm saying? That's how this thing works. See, you got to know how the system works in order to know how to defeat the system. See, it ain't all about fighting against something. You got to know how to stand up for something. It ain't all about fighting, it's all about standing. And you have to know how to do this. So that there's gonna be a long one today, because I got to go deep off into it. So once that captain present that certificate of manifest, then the traders, that's when they make the trade. All right. And you trade your products. You call that import export. When they import the goods, the captain of that ship had to present you with a certificate of manifest that's based on maritime law. That is the maritime law. And ain't no getting away. It ain't no getting around this. You have to have a certificate of manifest in order for those consumers to get those imports off of that ship, in order to get that merchandise off the ship. So that's what happened when they bought slaves over here. Slaves were not considered as human beings. Slaves were considered as merchandise. So they had to write some laws about this stuff. They had to make it to where you can't get around slavery. You is a product. You're not a human being. Basically, what the government is telling everybody, you is their product. They own your ass. If you don't have no social security number, if you don't have no birth certificate, if you don't have a marriage certificate or a death certificate, you basically is an alien. Why you think they call aliens aliens? Aliens are unidentified species. That's what an alien is. It's an unidentified species. So that means if you're an unidentified species, that means the government can do two things to you if you're an alien. They can either imprison you or use you as an experiment. That's if you're an alien. Because you either a product or you're an alien. So what can you do about this? You have to claim yourself. You have to claim yourself in ownership. You have to own yourself. You can't rely on the big boss, which is the U.S. corporation. Because you relying on the boss, which is the U.S. corporation, basically they saying they own your ass. You have the Federal Reserve, all right? The Federal Reserve is a private bank, all right? The U.S. government don't even own the Federal Reserve, all right? You have 12 families that own the Federal Reserve. Really and truly, it's just like they mocking Jesus Christ and his 12 disciples. It's a mockery. So, what can you do about this, King Legend? First of all, you have to own yourself. Whenever you go to court, whenever you go to a corporation, you have to put your name in all capital letters. Because if you put your name in lowercase letters, that's saying a corporation owns you. But when you put your name in all capital letters, that's saying you showing ownership of yourself. That means you own yourself. Don't nobody own you. You're not a slave. Now, you have the nation debt. All right. The nation debt ain't nothing but a big scam. The U.S. corporation is bankrupt. Don't let these folks tell you otherwise. And in order for them to get out of bankruptcy, the economy is going to have to collapse. They're going to have to collapse because they accumulated so much debt until it's getting overwhelming to the public. It's having an effect on the public. Now, the rich, they're getting richer. And the poor got to pay the price for the rich. If you were to start working today, just say if you were to say, well, I don't want to work no more for the white man. I don't want to work for the government. I don't want to work for nobody but myself. You have that right as a human being on this earth to work for yourself, to produce your own goods, to invent your own product, to go your own way. Now, see, that's when you're going into the next level of that game. You see, because you done passed one level of that game, of that video game. Now you're going to the next level of that video game, right? All right, now you're going to the next level. Now you're saying, you telling these folks now, you don't own me. I own myself. I own my thoughts. I own my ideas. I own my creativity. And I own my talents. You don't own them. That's called sovereignty. And the government know this. And they don't want people to wake up towards that because that'll be chaos. That's why you have genocide going on right now. You have so many killings going on right now of citizens because if they can't use you, then they can't do nothing with you. If you can't work, if you can't invent something that's going to profit the government off something, then they can't use you. So the next step to that is to kill you or to imprison you. Basically saying they own your ass. Now you don't have to abide by the maritime law because you is a human being. That don't apply to you. The maritime law applies to products and merchandise. You you don't have a UCC on you. Like a UCC is a Universal Commercial Code. All right. Basically, when you buy a product, it'll have it'll have this barcode sitting on there. Let me show you. All right. You have this right here. All right. You see this thing? See this little barcode right there? That's a Universal Commercial Code. All right. That means this product can go anywhere in the world. And when it's scanned, that means it knows about this product. That means this product is registered to sell. All right. And I'm finna go into a deeper concept of this now. Y'all catch on to it. I know y'all attention span is, very low. And see, the stuff that you don't pay attention to, you need to start paying attention to it. Universal Commercial Code. All right. Now, we living in an antichrist society now. All right. They finna start putting universal commercial codes on human beings, basically. Saying that, okay, this gonna be imprinted on your hand, which is between your thumb and your index finger. They call that the mark of the beast. All right. That ain't nothing but a universal commercial code. Or it's gonna be in your head. That's the mark of the beast. Basically a universal commercial code. So basically, when they scan it, they're basically saying, okay, they own your ass. They saying that it ain't gonna be no credit card, no debit card, no paper money, none of this stuff no more. It's just gonna be everything based off currency. All right. That's where the universal commercial code come in at. Basically saying you is gonna be merchandise. Instead of being human beings, you're gonna be merchandise to be bought by someone or something. You can be bought by a corporation. You can be bought by the government. You can be bought by an individual who is a slave master. And see, you still have slave masters out there. You still have slave masters out there now. Don't let nobody fool y'all and saying, oh, ain't no slavery no more. If you go to that job and work for that paycheck, you in slavery. Because you had to work off that nation's debt. A debt that you is not responsible for. But you got to work it out just to make the rich man richer. And you scuffling trying to pay bills. You scuffling trying to do all you can to rub two pennies together. And you doing that for what? To make the rich man richer. Now that's the cubic square that you in. And that's where the government and the elite want you to stay at. They don't want you to go into another dimension. They want you to stay in the cubic square. See, they're ready for you to go in a circle. And see, we're finna talk about that. Geometry. If you can't stay in the square, they want you to go in a circle. You see? Because that's basically what we perceive the world as, a big circle, right? It goes around, it evolves around the sun in circles. Every planet that's out there in the universe, it evolves around the sun and the moon. All right, a circle. But on this planet where we live at, called Earth, you are living in a square, living in a cubic square. All right, and that's where the elite and the governments want you to stay at. They don't want you to get outside that square. But if you do get outside that square, they will rather for you to go in a circle. You see what I'm saying? Now we're talking about universal law. The law of attraction, the law of karma. See, this stuff is too much to gain in one night. You had to do a lot of studying. You had to do a lot of reading up on some stuff in order to understand this. But if you take the first step by reading and studying this stuff, you'll understand it and you'll get a better perception of it. You see, you'll be able to perceive it better. And you'll be able to be prepared for certain circumstances in life. You won't be, surprised or shocked by anything. Now, I tell y'all all the time that the whole motive of this show is to save souls. So that's what we're doing. This information is being put out there to save your soul. To get out that cubic square that you're in and going into another dimension. See, you in 3D right now. And see, you probably heard a lot of people talk about 3D. Oh man, the video game, I like the graphics and it's 3D. That's how the world that we live in operates in dimensions. You see, you have the third dimension, the fourth dimension, the fifth dimension. All right. Once you get out that third dimension and you get into the fourth dimension, then now you're a threat. That means you're a threat to the society. You're a threat to the government. And you is a threat to every other spiritual being. You see. Now, that's unless you are dealing with like-minded individuals. Then they'll be able to understand what you're talking about. And they'll be able to understand the things that you're going through. But if they don't understand the things that you're going through, then that means they're still stuck in this three-dimensional world. You see, they stuck in that cubicle. You know how you work in the office, you work in a cubicle. A cubicle ain't nothing but a square. Cubic ain't nothing but a square. A cube. You work in your cubicle. That's a square. You working inside your square. And you can't get outside your square. You can't get outside your cubicle unless you're going on lunch break or, or going to do something for your boss man. That's how the world works. So you got to get outside that box. If you know how to get outside the box, then you'll go onto the next dimension, which is the fourth dimension, because you can't go to the fifth dimension unless you leave the third dimension and go into the fourth dimension. See, everything is by order, you see. But then, if you stuck in 3D, see, it's a lot of inquiries to be in the third dimension, you see. Now, this way it get a little deeper. You got the MK Ultra. You got mind control. You got TV. You got internet. See, you got all this stuff now to keep you in that third dimension, to keep you in that cubicle. See, to keep you working inside your cubicle. See, a lot of people be like, well, King Legend, man, what you talking about, man? You just, man. It's too much information. But if you don't understand it, you will not be able to perceive it. You will not be ready for your next dimension. That means you stuck in the third dimension. Because that's all it is, a matrix. And the matrix ain't nothing but mathematics. That's all it is. It ain't nothing else. Geometry, trigonometry, see, calculus, algebra. That's all this world operate off of. Mathematics. Arithmetic, like them old folks say. And if you don't know arithmetic, then you're in some trouble. You have to be able to synchronize into different dimensions. You have to know. Now there's a lot of stuff going on, and we headed to a new year. We still got false flag attacks going on, and reason being is to keep you distracted. That's all a part of the mind control deal. You have to know. So I don't want to scare y'all with this stuff. This stuff is sometimes where if you believe in Jesus Christ, don't none of this stuff scare you. Because I can go a little deeper than that. But the number one thing that you need to do is keep your mind, heart, and your soul on Jesus Christ. I can't stress that enough. Get right with Jesus Christ. Because something big is about to happen. The economy is about to go into the greatest depression that it has ever been in since the World War I and II. That's why they causing, or rather, they trying to cause war to happen. Because the world is going bankrupt. And I repeat, the only reason why these folks provoking war is because they are broke. They need more money to create more debt. Your money, your money that you put in the bank, that ain't your money. That's just basically the bank saying, I owe you. I owe you. That's what the bank basically is telling you. They owe you. So they taking 10% of your money. All right? Well, now, yeah. They taking 10% of your money. When you make that deposit in that bank, all right, just say you put $200 in the bank, all right? $190 is gonna be taken away. Time when you make that deposit, $190 gonna be taken away. So that leave you with $10, right? In the bank. Now we just talking about virtually. We ain't talking about realistic, because realistically, You supposed to put $200 in the bank. You supposed to deposit $200 in the bank. It's supposed to be $200 in the bank if you haven't touched it. All right. But virtually, you have $190 in the bank. So that means $190 you gave to the Federal Reserve, and you don't even know it. $190, which leaves you with $10. Now, King Legend, now you getting a little deep off in it now. You getting a little off on the deep end. Yes, I am. Yes, I am. Because you people need to wake up. These people steady robbing us every day. Under our nose. And you don't even know it. You don't even see it. The money that you work so hard for being taken away by the very people that cause all the chaos that's going on in the world now. That don't even make no sense, do it. So you putting your money in the bank. Now we're finna be realistic about it. You putting your money in the bank to fund war. You putting your money in the bank to fund ISIS. You putting your money in the bank to cause the nation's debt. Now see, just like I said, when you put your money into the bank, that's basically the bank saying, I owe you, right? So I owe you turns into a bond, all right? And then they take that bond and go to the Federal Reserve and sell that bond, all right? The Federal Reserve, what they gonna do, they gonna take that bond, buy it from the bank, which is the IOU, to the citizens now. They gonna take that bond, they gonna buy it, and then they gonna write a check to issue out more money that they didn't even have in the first place. So the Federal Reserve don't even have no money. They account balance is zero. Matter of fact, it's negative $19 trillion. How can you have a bank and your account balance is negative 19 trillion now? That don't sound like your account is balanced. That sound like your account is in a hole. So that basically how the Federal Reserve works. They have to buy debt in order to create money. But then it ain't just the Federal Reserve now. You have collection agencies. Oh, King Legend, you about to get into the bill collector. The reason why the bill collector harass you so much is because they bought your debt. They bought your debt in order to gain interest, in order to make a profit. So that's why you had a bill collector harassing you. See, this ain't nothing but a big circle. I keep telling y'all this stuff. See, what I just said. If you get outside the box, the government will prefer you to go around in a circle, because that's all you're doing. Now you got outside the box because you know what I'm saying, you know what's going on now. So now they were ready for you to go around in a circle. You're gonna go to work. You're gonna go work for 8 to 12 hours. All right. On Friday, you get paid. First thing you're gonna do, go to the bank, right? Hello. That's the first thing you're gonna do. So this ain't nothing but modern day slavery. And I keep telling these folks this. And see, it ain't just me telling people this. There's a lot of people telling you this. You ain't listening. Sometimes you got to learn how to listen. Because the Lord sends us messages through his people. These folks robbing us blind, and they legally robbing you. They ain't doing it because a lot of people think, okay, the law. All right, we talk about the law. All right, the law is the law. They say you can't break the law, right? But hello, all right, I'm gonna ask you this. I'm gonna ask you this one question. When you commit a crime, you breaking the law. But just because it's unlawful doesn't mean it's wrong. That's the dimension that you're living in. That's the third dimension that you're living in. That's this box that you're living in. That's what they want you to think. If you break the law, you're wrong. No. Because some laws that have been written, it don't apply to everybody. It only applies to the merchandise and the products of the maritime law. Now, King Legend, now you done throw me off now. What you mean I'm a product of the maritime law? Because when you were brought over here in slavery, when our ancestors were brought over here in slavery, they was merchandise. They were products. They was not human beings. They were not considered as a human being. They were considered as a product. And they had a universal code on them. See, slaves were not identified by their name. They were identified by numbers. From the man to the woman, all the way down to the child, they were identified by numbers because the government knew that the only way they can pull this off is to go into the maritime law. And just like I said, when that ship, he enters that port, that means he had to present a certificate of manifest, basically saying these are the products on this ship, and we come over here to import them to your country, and you need to export them off my ship so I can go back to my country. And that's a legit trade. You call that trading. You see, that's a trade zone. A trade zone ain't nothing but two countries, or it don't have to be countries. It can be corporations. Two corporations trading money for merchandise. Man. And just like I said in my episodes, and you say you free, y'all ain't free. Y'all are merchandise. Y'all are products. And the only way the government can profit is off merchandise. Now, King Legend, what you mean I'm a product? What you mean I'm merchandise? You saying that I belong on the shelf. In reality, that's what you consider it as. Something that belong on a shelf to be bought. That is the maritime law. So once again, you say you're free. If you go to work every day and get a paycheck every Friday and go to that bank, you are owned by somebody or something. Wake up. The time is now. And the only way you can break this cycle is you're going to have to think for yourself. You're gonna have to learn how to have a capacity of thinking for yourself. You're gonna have to learn how to have the ability to think for yourself, and don't think based on what people implant in your mind. Because the stuff that some people implant in your mind, the only reason they did it is to destroy you. And that's what the devil is here for, to steal, kill, and destroy. So this the King Legend Show, and I'm your host, King Legend. And y'all know we about over here: love, peace, prosperity, and abundance. And much love to y'all, and happy New Year. And I hope y'all year bring y'all many blessings and bring y'all much happiness. Because my year coming up, it gonna bring me much blessings and much happiness. Thanks be to the Lord thy God and Jesus Christ. I'm gonna say this before I close out. War is peace. Freedom is slavery. So you got to reverse it. See, you can't live your life backwards. You see what I'm saying? Because that's how the government, that's how they brainwashed you. They want you to live life backwards. See, they want you to live life upside down. You see? Because if you was to live life upside down, that means they have better control over you. So you got to live on the upside, not the downside. You got to live your life in drive, not in reverse. And you'll know exactly what I'm talking about when you wake up. You'll be like, man, King Legend said that. So the state that we're in now, in the government's eyes, war is peace and freedom is slavery. This is the King Legend Show, and I'm your host, King Legend, and we about love, peace, prosperity, and abundance. Peace.